Hey everybody, what's going on? Shiv Simulations here once again, and in this video we're going to be doing a landing tutorial on a Cessna 172R A2A simulations. As you can see in this video, I decided to turn off both of the yokes that are in the flight deck here, so that way you guys can see some instruments better, such as the RPM indicator and stuff like that, and also the light switches and all that. It seems to me that tutorial videos are better with those off, just so that you guys can see a little bit better. So today we are currently on final approach to runway 33 at the Brampton Flight Centre. ICAO code is CNC3. Now this is an uncontrolled airport, so normally I would be entering on the downwind leg. However, since I'm just using this runway for a demonstration for landing, I'm not going to be doing that full procedure today. We're just going to start on final. So before we start with the landing tutorial, there's a few things I'm going to go over. A few things that I learned when I was flying. Basically, landing is one of the hardest parts of flying, as many of you guys probably know. I mean, landing is controlled impact into terrain. That's basically what a landing is. So a few tips that I have that I learned is that when you're on the round out to flare, descending down towards the runway, look right down to the end of the runway, because that seems to give a better flare and not have as much as a flat approach. Once again, that's something that I just learned. I used to look at the front of the engine, such as the engine cowling. However, my instructor told me not to do that, so I started looking at the end of the runway, and that seemed to work a lot better for my landings, and my landings really did improve, because my landings before were pretty bad. Another thing is that you use power to adjust your altitude and pitch to adjust your speed. Now normally people would think it's the other way around, because usually people think that engine would give you speed. However, for landing it's better to use power to adjust altitude and pitch to adjust speed. So yeah, so we're currently paused right now, so we can go ahead and unpause and start with the before landing or downwind checklist, which is memorized. So the before landing or downwind checklist is primer locked, masters on, magnetos on both, carb heat hot, mixture rich, fuel valve on, and brake pressure set. So from that list, primer and carb heat do not belong for this aircraft. So as you can see, I'm coming down here. I'm going to drop in our first notch of flaps. And speed is looking pretty good so far. We're at around our approach speed. And also, you guys are going to want to set an aiming point. Basically, a spot where if you were not to do the round out and flare, the aircraft would impact terrain there. So usually I would set that as the first line, the first part of the center line. So as you can see, my speed is starting to get lower now, so I'm gonna put the pitch down a little bit, and as you can see, our speed is starting to go up again. And we're a little bit high, so I'm gonna cut the throttle back. We can add in the second notch of flaps now. Now the flaps are gonna make us go up a little bit. So once again, our throttle's already completely back, but if your throttle's not all the way back, make sure you put it back now, because as the flaps come down, you're going to gain altitude. So speed's looking pretty good right now. About 60 knots or so. So our aiming point is the first dashed line. However, we're not going to make that part because of the round out and flare. So we're right exactly on the glide slope right now for runway 33. I'm going to be using a little bit of power here. Once we're over the runway numbers, I'm going to cut the power to idle, level off the aircraft into cruise altitude, and then let the aircraft bleed off speed and flare for a nice touchdown. Now once you've touched down, you kind of want to fly the nose gear down so that it does not impact the runway, sorry. that hard. So start braking, and then we could exit the runway over here. So once we pass this whole short line, we're going to stop, announce we're clear of the runway. So at an uncontrolled airport, it would sound something like this: Brampton traffic, Foxtrot Mike Oscar is cleared the active runway Brampton. So that's how it would sound. And now we're going to go off to the after landing checklist. So after landing checklist for this aircraft is flaps up. So flaps would go all the way up. Lights as required. So we could turn the landing light off now, which is right over there. Transponder on standby. So transponders on standby. Trim set for takeoff. So it was already around there a little bit. I only moved the trim a little bit. And take note of the flight time over here to write downtime for the aircraft, the time that you touch down. So that is basically a full landing tutorial for the A2A Simulations Cessna 172 trainer. Next, I think I'm going to be doing a full circuit tutorial also at this airport. And then after that, we'll continue on with the rest of the stuff, such as stalls, slow speed, spin, spiral, all that fun stuff. And eventually we'll probably also get into instrument flying, and then maybe even start going on to the bigger aircraft to learn a little bit about that. So if you guys liked the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.